So I'm working with a network of friends around the world who share a similar vision, who are creating opportunities like this, not to make money or to run a business, but to provide an opportunity for people who are so moved, they would love to just devote themselves to a life of virtue, a life of open-minded inquiry into the nature of consciousness, the nature of the mind, and its potentials. And so if all of these people, as they graduate from an 80-day or maybe 2 or 3 or 4 80-day retreats, then go off to some place, their homeland or some other place where they have no visa problems, then we can still remain in touch with each other by the blessings of modern technology, by the internet. And so we can, by email or by using the various aspects of the internet, then keep in touch, and they can remain in dialogue with me or other teachers, so they don't need to feel isolated or stranded because there are thousands of miles separating us. And so in this way, I think we can sow the seeds on the island of Phuket, and then people can watch those seeds germinate as they go elsewhere for long-term retreats, and others will come back to their families, their jobs, socially engaged ways of life, and let their 80-day experience enrich, bring much greater contemplative depth, clarity, mindfulness, kindness, altruism to their active, socially engaged way of life. And I think this is marvelously important and valuable, and it's marvelously important and valuable that some, whoever feels so moved, feel, for the time being at least, I just want to go off and do this alone. And so the Santa Barbara Institute for Consciousness Studies will be sponsoring the retreats there in Phuket. They'll be held at that retreat center there, so Klaus and I will be working very closely in this regard. And so I'm hoping that for those who want to go into long-term retreats and don't have the financial wherewithal to support themselves during that, I'm hoping we can provide scholarships, again, to live a very modest way of life, just food, utilities, living very simply, and just devoting day and night to their spiritual practice. I'm anticipating that we'll be able to support at least some people in that way. And then over time, if we do have kind of a nucleus approaching kind of a critical mass of people who have learned how to practice well as a result of one or more of these 80-day intensive seminars or training programs, Klaus and I have discussed this already. We may then establish another facility there on the island of Phuket for people who've gone through, let's say, the basic training, and now without having to go elsewhere, if we can find ways to enable them to get long-term visas in Thailand, then we may indeed have a very in-depth, long-term retreat facility, contemplative inquiry facility, observatory, right there on the same island. So for maybe another retreat center of the same size, maybe 36, 40 people, right there, being able to just go to the greatest depth possible. And in conclusion, one important component of all of this is that in this Phuket Mind Training Academy, our contemplative observatory, there will be one room, good-sized room, that will be specifically allocated for scientific research. So we're anticipating EEG, various other type of behavioral measures, cognitive measures, drawing from various disciplines within psychology, as well as cognitive neuroscience. We won't have our own MRI. It's very expensive, and there's no need for us to own one. But there's at least one, if not more, MRI machines on the island. And so we anticipate doing state-of-the-art, very rigorous, open-minded, that is not prejudicial, not trying to validate Buddhism or any other contemplative tradition, open-minded, rigorous scientific research on what are the effects of such sustained intensive training over an 80-day period, over a one-year period, over a 5-year period. And so to understand this from multiple perspectives, from the perspective of the meditators themselves, the first-person perspective, from the perspective of the meditation instructor, that we can call the second-person perspective, and then finally the third-person perspectives of cognitive psychology, various disciplines of psychology and the neuroscience, to understand what's taking place physiologically, behaviorally, in all perspectives, so that we have a very multifaceted, rounded understanding of what are the effects. And in this way, I envision a very rich interface between the contemplative and the scientific. The science may actually illuminate or help us pinpoint specific methods that are especially effective. It may also point out some methods that are not so effective. The effort is there, the time is being put in, and not really delivering the goods. And so that would be helpful, so that when we're practicing meditation, we're not wasting our time, practicing diligently, but not seeing any fruits from our labors. And so as the contemplative, I think, has the potential to deeply enrich the scientific understanding of the nature and potentials of the mind, as well as the very nature of consciousness itself, I anticipate that the scientific inquiry may also illuminate, make clear some aspects of meditation itself that could enrich the contemplative tradition. So I will be highlighting methods that are drawn from the Buddhist tradition because that's where my background is, but really the great majority of the practices, if not all of them, that I'll be teaching will be inviting, accessible, and open to people from any tradition, whether it's religious or non-religious. Because the idea here is not to promulgate one particular religion or to preserve one type of religious institution or a creed or a dogma, but simply to try to be of service, to try to explore methods of inquiry, to enrich our understanding in contemplative communities, scientific communities, and then hoping and praying that whatever insights and benefits that are derived through such practice, contemplative and scientific inquiry, and the collaboration between the two, that this can flow out into society and enrich education, enrich the way business is done, enrich the way that we attend to our environment, politics, mental health, physical health, and so forth. That we're hoping that this will be like a beacon, that we'll do our very best to do something that is truly of benefit for those people who come to Phuket for such training, and then our aspiration and our prayer and our dream is that benefits will flow out in all directions, serving people of all different religious faiths, serving people who have no religious faith, but still are seeking meaningful lives, greater happiness and less suffering. So that's our vision. And I'm delighted to be able to work with Klaus Hebben on this and collaborating already with a growing number of people who share this vision. We'll all be working together because there's no way this could happen just by one person. It's a group effort, working together to share the very best that we can with the world.